Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is going to be another classic Raw review. This is going to be November 20th, 1995, the Raw after Survivor Series. And Alex, you actually picked this. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised you picked it because I really totally forgot about the angle that happened on this Raw. This is a great Raw, I mean, especially for 1995, a year that takes a lot of criticism. I thought this is one of those Raws that I felt was a real hidden gem. So why did you pick this show?
I just remember I always loved going back and watching the Shawn Michaels matches from this mid-90s era when between 93, 94, and 95, you could see Shawn Michaels just coming into his own and really just standing out from everybody else in WWF. So it was just, I wanted to see that match with Owen Hart. Also on some of the Shawn Michaels DVDs, they talked about how, they acted like it was a real thing because at the end of the night, he gets kicked in the head with Owen Hart's insecurity and he goes on a stretcher. And McMahon goes in the ring, and Gorilla Monsoon goes in the ring, and they bring the medics down, and they pretended like it was a real, thing. The crowd really bought into it, but I didn't know about some of the other things that happened on the show that were also really appealing and memorable. But Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart, was a great match. It was just those guys were great. They worked great together, as you would imagine.
And this was Shawn's last match until, I guess, the Royal Rumble, right?
I think so. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Because he gets hurt, he goes out, and you said he went away to basically train for the Iron Man match,
right? Yeah.
With Bret Hart. But this was a night after. I didn't realize when I requested this.
It's the night after
that
Survivor
this was
Series.
the night after Survivor Series, where one of my favorite matches, maybe my favorite match of all time.
We just reviewed the show.
Yeah, with Bret Hart and Diesel.
Yeah.
I love that championship match. The way it ends.
Well, that's how the Raw starts off. They start showing stills of Survivor Series. I think that match and the wild card match as well.
Yeah. They're building the other stuff going on in the show, but yeah, no, I know you and I were both our eyebrows raised when Diesel came out and he interrupted the Savio Vega furnace.
Yeah. It was Savio Vega and Sonny's ex-husband, who's now deceased, Chris Candido. I think at the time he was either Zip or Dip of the Body Donnas.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so the Savio match was going on, and Diesel interrupted it. But but before we get to the Diesel promo, I just want to say underrated match to start off the show. You had Hakushi taking on the 1-2-3 Kid who just sided with the $1 Million Man. That was a really awesome match. I thought on this Raw you had two really quality matches, probably two of the best Raw matches of the year.
I think they could have done better. I thought Hakushi and 1-2-3 Kid could have been a better match.
Really?
I thought it was okay, but
you just didn't like the finish.
No, I really didn't like the finish was all right, but I just think that those guys are. I remember how talented they both were, and
it was going along.
They
great.
could have had a better. They could have had a better
I think
match,
Ted
but they didn't get a lot of time.
I think Ted DiBiase got involved, and then X-Pac or 1-2-3 Kid hit a spinning heel kick. But you were mentioning how the crowd was with them, for just the little things there. So I thought it was a good combination. I liked the match.
That's a good point. The crowd. That's one great thing about watching. Even before the Attitude Era, is watching the crowd react to some of these things. The crowd was so much more into the little things that guys would do.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think it's going to be interesting when they do have crowds come back in. 100%. I think it might be like that again for a little while.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
There's going to be an excitement hangover, right?
Going into the corner and doing the 10 count, hitting a guy in the face, 1, 2, 3. I think people will actually be into the little things again when somebody puts a sleeper hold. Remember, you put a sleeper hold on a guy and the crowd go, yeah, everybody be into it. I think that's actually going to be like that for maybe a few weeks, for a little bit, because everyone's going to be so excited to be back, but they used to react like that stuff. And so I did make note of that, but no, I think Hakushi and 1-2-3 Kid could have been a much better match.
Oh yeah. But I would just say for television standards, especially back then, Raw was only an hour. So I just thought it was good for the amount of time that they got. All right. So let's jump right into the Diesel promo. So Diesel comes out. and basically interrupts the match, gets on the mic, and it was an awesome promo. Just tell me your thoughts on the promo.
Well, it made me think of CM Punk, ironically. So many years later, like what? Over 15 years later, the Punk comes out and cuts the promo on John Cena and the whole WWE. The way Kevin Nash, Diesel, acted and the way he talked, he actually looked at McMahon, who at the time
he was doing commentary.
He was doing commentary, and
it wasn't. You didn't even know as a kid. Like, I think you must have watched this live when you were in like fifth grade, or not fifth grade, maybe third grade or whatever it was, and. At the time, you probably had no idea that Vince was the owner of the company.
No, Vince didn't walk around like Vince the CEO. No. He wasn't that character. He was just a commentator guy. But Diesel breaks the fourth wall and looks at him and says, "I'm not going to be your corporate puppet anymore."
Right, because he just lost the title. Yeah,
he just lost the title to Brett, and he cut that. He just cut this promo. I'm not going to be your corporate puppet. And remember that badass guy you guys saw 2 years ago? I'm back. And he puts the glasses on.
Yeah,
and
it was cool, man. I like this promo and the whole aftermath with Brett. Like it really cracked. You might have said this, but it really felt like it cracked open that Attitude Era.
Yeah, yeah. I think Kevin Nash deserves some credit for that. I really do.
Especially when him going to WCW. That character in WCW was a lot like this. I imagine.
Yeah.
And, he just kind of came out and just let everyone know that he wasn't happy, being that corporate champion,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they pushed him amazingly in WWE. So in real life, he had
but even at WrestleMania 11, him holding hands with Pamela Anderson, Jenny McCarthy, smiling in the pyro, that really wasn't him, right?
I guess not, right? Exactly. And I think
maybe that's what he was trying to show.
Just goes to show you when guys get to turn heel, it just takes the lid off. They can say what they want to say.
What did he say? He said he slept like a baby and he smiled when he looked in the mirror, like stuff like that.
After he lost the title.
After he lost the
title, which is kind of weird because usually you lose a title and it's the opposite. But he said, you know what, I slept like a baby, and there's probably truth to that.
It's funny. It's like that's part of like the art of pro wrestling too. And I noticed this when Benoit lost the title to Orton. Like if you remember the match he had against Orton the next night. It actually looked like he was even better, like since he lost the belt. Like Jim Ross even said on commentary, "I've never seen Benoit look this crisp." It was kind of like it just, I don't know what it was. It was like a weight was lifted off over his shoulder, and he just looked like in full speed or something.
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny,
Yeah. No, I think it is kind of a, it is a sort of, it's a weight on your shoulder. There's an expectation all of a sudden. It's not like, Maybe it's like that in boxing. Maybe it's like that in a lot of sports. I don't think it's
obviously you want to keep the title, but maybe sometimes when you lose it, there's an extra motivation or just an extra edge, or maybe there's less stress. I don't know what it is, but sometimes you do notice a different demeanor, a different aura after this title is not like your responsibility anymore.
Maybe with boxing and UFC it's different because one, they're not staged, and there's more money if you have the title. I'm assuming you get paid more. You get paid more in WWE too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you're an artist too as a wrestler. You're a performer, and when you lose the title, it opens you up to be involved in storylines you couldn't be involved with before, and you also can, in this case, he's turning heel, but at the same time, he's not just turning heel. He's doing something that's a little bit before its time.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, people who want to cheer me, I'll slap your hand 5, but if you don't, I don't really give a damn. And that was not how faces or heels acted. He's basically kind of that like Brock Lesnar type of character before Brock Lesnar, in this, or even John Cena. It's like, whoever cheers me, great. If you don't cheer me, so what? I'll earn your respect in the ring, that sort of thing. And Diesel, I don't know. I'm not going to say he started it, but it definitely was very refreshing in that era.
I mean, based on what I've read and what I've heard, like towards the end of '95, it seemed like Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels they were getting a lot more power.
Yeah.
You know, and this was definitely indicative of that. And pleasant surprise too. I forgot about this promo when you wanted to watch this. I wasn't expecting something like this, but you didn't get to see Brett on this show, which is unfortunate. But it was cool that you saw the aftermath of Kevin Nash and his reaction to losing the belt. All right, so let's get right down to the main event: Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. This is one of the first of 3 matches that they've had off the top of my head, and I totally forgot about this. But yeah, just talk about the match. An awesome combination while it lasted.
Just fluidity, just masters of their craft, and Shawn Michaels. Yeah, you could just you're seeing even more. He had the ladder match at WrestleMania 10, almost 2 years before this.
Yeah.
He had the ladder match with Razor Ramon again at SummerSlam before this, and so he basically carried Kevin Nash, and a lot of people would say through WrestleMania 11.
Yeah.
So he was already developing into a master in his craft, and sort of the Michael Jordan of the WWF, and here you still see it. I think and Owen was always great, but there came a point in Owen's career where he did kind of need to be in the ring with certain guys. To kind of, I think he needed a fire lit under his ass, and being in the ring with Michaels, you could just tell they were a great combination. It's too bad they didn't do more. I think this could have been a main event, Right.
Well, they're more similar than Brett and Shawn. I would say that.
Yes.
Like they're more of the entertaining they're more high flyers than Brett. So
Right.
I think that's why they had a mutual respect for each other. I know Shawn was quoted as saying that he thought Owen was the most talented of all the Harts.
Yes.
Stuff like that,
Right,
which is
exactly.
which I disagree with. But I could see why he would say that though.
But here's the reason why he's not. It's because Brett used his talent to the best of what he did, in the ring, and he made matches feel like they were real matches.
Yeah.
Owen, like Michaels, was more about believability in terms of you believe that this 6'1" guy is gonna jump off the rope and do a moonsault. You wouldn't do that,
Right.
In a real fight. But you didn't care because Shawn Michaels made it look so cool. He was like he was born to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Owen had a lot of the same tools, but Owen didn't always he didn't always seem motivated to be
Right.
the guy,
Especially
the number one to really bring you in. And Michaels and Bret Hart were in their best respective
No,
ways.
I totally agree with that. I love Owen. I think it's great. It would have been cool to see Brett versus Owen for the title at a WrestleMania, or even Shawn versus Owen, like you pointed out,
or even
for the belt.
even in your house.
But I would agree though. Like there's times when, especially like in 1998, like when he was feuding with Ken Shamrock around that time, like. I don't know. Like I think Owen could be hit or miss, and especially that whole situation. And I don't want to get on him now because rest in peace.
Rest in peace, right?
But the whole situation with injuring Austin too. It's like, what were you thinking, man? But but
you know what? Not everybody was meant to be, or not everybody wants to be Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels,
Right.
or John Cena or Hulk Hogan. Not everybody wants to be in that role.
Yeah.
And Owen always kind of struck me as somebody, he was okay with number 2 and number 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the feud with Bret, that brought the best out of him, I thought.
Yes. Oh
Like,
my
yeah.
God. Like when you watch WrestleMania 10, it's
Yeah.
like, forget about Bret. I'm like, in that match, I'm like, Owen Hart, like I'm so excited.
Even that guy in the front row was like, "Come on, Owen."
Yeah, no. And I think Bret knew too. Owen was incredibly talented. It's exciting just talking about it. But at the same time, you could say it's like, Reggie Miller in the NBA. He never won the championship.
Right.
He's like one of the greatest wrestlers to not win a WWF championship. And they had a damn good match. It was exciting.
Yeah, while it lasted.
While it lasted. Like,
definitely.
it was like when it ends, you're almost kind of disappointed because like, oh.
All right, so let's talk about the finish. It was going along great, the setup to the super kick. I think Owen counted the super kick into an insecurity, right?
Yeah.
He had a couple of them.
That's right.
And then they did the skinning of the cat thing. So what So you were asking me, like, why do they call that skinning the cat? So when Michaels does a clothesline and does his Royal Rumble 95 finish where he actually propels himself back into the ring, they call that skinning the cat.
They did, yeah.
So when Owen got clotheslined out of the ring, Shawn just collapses. Like he's selling it like he had a concussion or got a concussion from the insecurity. Originally, I thought maybe, once you told me it was Owen and Shawn, and Shawn gets carried on a stretcher, I thought maybe Sid came out, or I thought maybe it was a possibility he was selling the beatdown from the Syracuse incident where he actually did get beat up by a bunch of like Marines after he was flirting with their girlfriends. That did happen, but I think that was before. So, I mean, what's the story with this thing? I mean, just talk about the aftermath here.
Yeah. I know. I feel like Vince mentioned in commentary that Shawn had taken a Razor's Edge from Razor Ramon the night before, because I think they were in a wild card
match,
Survivor Series match. So I think Vince was trying to sell up that Shawn had taken a beating.
Well, we just reviewed the show. I don't really remember like anything that impactful.
No, it wasn't anything crazy, but you could tell Vince was kind of trying to put that out there to kind of let us know Shawn was kind of beat up. But in this case, it's just the Owens kick to the back of the head. And I only remember the one Insigiri. I don't remember two.
I thought you told me you saw three of them.
I assumed, I was expecting.
I just remember the one. Honestly, I just remember the one. He countered the super kick into the Insigiri.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then you didn't think anything of it. It was a really nice move. Owen, I don't remember if Owen tried to pin him or not, but, Owen fell out of the ring at some point. He does the skinning of the cat. He gets back into the ring, and then he just grabs his head and he falls down. So, And
then talking about how they sold it, though. Like there was people crying in the crowd.
Yeah, people in the crowd were, getting really worried. And the medics came out, and everybody was in the ring, and it looked like the real deal. It looked like he was going to go to the hospital, and it looked like he really got hurt, you know. So he wasn't responding. They put the oxygen over his face, and no, it was really powerful. It was really well done.
Yeah, all right. So I don't think you saw Shawn until the Royal Rumble. Eventually, he had the rematch with Owen at the In Your House before WrestleMania, where I think the WrestleMania spot was on the line. That's probably the best Owen and Shawn match because, pay-per-view had a finish. And I think they had another match right after the screw job before Christmas when Shawn was in DX. That's a match where I saw highlights of it, and it looks like the greatest fucking thing in the world. But when you watch the actual match, it's like a big friggin' letdown.
Yeah, well, Attitude Era, there's just a lot of brawling. There's a lot of
DQs,
DQs and schmazzes and whatnot. I just felt like, I watched that match and I was a little disappointed because it wasn't as
it was on. I think it was on the Best of Raw, Best of the Attitude Era Blu-ray. I think that's when I saw it. So if you want to, that's what it was on.
Nice. Yeah, but no, those two in the ring together.
Great combination. They could have got more out of it.
I know.
It's a shame, but yeah, man, this Raw, it definitely felt like a changing of the guard. It definitely felt like it was a counter to what was going on in Nitro. It felt like there was a sense of urgency. I think this was shortly after Lex Luger had debuted on Raw, where he switched companies, and it really gave Nitro a shot in the arm. So this definitely felt like, just a lot of shock value involved. So, definitely a good Raw. Definitely underrated. And the last thing, does anyone know when Raw officially moved to 2 hours? Because I was shocked to see this was only an hour long, which is great. It was awesome to sit through, these 1 and 2 hour Raws that just fly by. But Alex, do you remember when Raw turned to 2 hours? Because I don't remember.
I don't.
I know by 97 they did, but I don't. I mean, during Shawn's title reign, I'm
not sure. I remember being a kid. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember when, I think it was before even 95, JR would be on there and he'd say, "We want to get you more time in the ring."
So it's got to start at 8:57 to give you more action in the ring.
3 minutes more, so that they can get you more.
And then
time.
they would go over the mark too, right?
It's like Murder She Wrote with the ending,
They would speed through the credits to give you more action in the ring.
3 minutes. All right, 3 minutes.
But it just shows you how valuable television time was. I mean, you would think Vince McMahon would have no problem getting a 2 hour show, but it It was a fight back then.
Tough. It was tough.
And now you have 3 hours where the show, the show's unbearable to sit through.
Yeah, my assumption, I'm going to guess it was sometime in 96, Rob.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. If it was
Yeah.
96, could have been not early.
Yeah,
97.
maybe when Brett came back in '96, I think that's probably around the time. Probably when Nitro went to 2 hours.
Yeah,
I think
right. Yeah, when did that happen?
It probably happened that year.
Yeah,
But I can't tell you exactly
probably, yeah, it was all about the Monday Night War. So if they went to 2 hours, they were going to go to 2 hours.
All right, man, that's the review, and we're out. All right.